honest story.
Carmen Brooks, a woman of grace and strength. Carmen Brooks is a middle-aged black woman with a modest and humble presence. She dresses simply, but there's a warmth to her demeanor that cannot be overlooked. With hands calloused from years of hard work, she carries a box of homemade food into the boutique, her small act of love for her daughter-in-law. Kind-hearted, selfless, and always putting others before herself, Carmen's quiet resilience stands in stark contrast to the world of luxury she's about to step into. As the mother-in-law of the boutique's owner, Carmen's presence carries both wisdom and the weight of an unspoken history. Rachel Brooks, a striking and powerful woman, is the owner of the high-end fashion boutique. She exudes sophistication, elegance, and confidence with every step. A beautiful, polished exterior hides the complexities of a woman who has had to fight for her success. Wealth and influence follow her everywhere, but sometimes it's hard to escape the isolation that comes with it. As a white woman in a competitive industry, Rachel is proud of her achievements, but sometimes her superiority complex gets the best of her, especially when it comes to her interactions with people she perceives as beneath her. Megan, the 30-something sales associate at the boutique, is the embodiment of snobbery and prejudice. With her sharp gaze and superior attitude, Megan doesn't hide her disdain for anyone who doesn't meet the high standards of the boutique's clientele. She dresses in the latest fashions and speaks with an air of condescension, quickly dismissing those she believes don't belong in her world. Her outward confidence masks her deep-rooted biases, and she's ready to challenge anyone who dares to step into the boutique without the right look. David, Rachel's business partner, is a well-dressed man with the charisma to match. His appearance is immaculate, and he moves with the effortless confidence that comes from being part of the elite. He is observant and intelligent, often staying in the background during discussions, letting Rachel take the lead. However, when the tension rises, David can't help but notice the cracks in Rachel's seemingly perfect world. Across the bustling streets of the city, the noise of traffic and people blending into a rhythmic hum, it comes to a stop outside a high-end fashion boutique. The Brooks Boutique, with its sleek glass facade, gleams in the sunlight like a jewel in the heart of the city. A golden plaque on the door sparkles with the boutique's name, a mark of prestige and exclusivity. Inside, the atmosphere is nothing short of opulent. Soft jazz music plays in the background, and the air smells faintly of expensive perfume and polished leather. Rows of designer dresses hang on display, each piece more extravagant than the last. High heels lined up in perfectly symmetrical rows gleam under the soft lighting. It is a place where the wealthy come to spend their money without a second thought, a world where only the most powerful and fashionable can belong. Megan, a sales associate in her early 30s, adjusts a display with meticulous care. Her tailored suit is the latest from a high-end designer, and her posture is flawless, exuding an air of superiority. She casts a quick glance at the door, watching for the next client, one who will match the boutique's standards, one who won't disrupt the delicate balance of exclusivity and wealth that the store thrives on, the kind of client who walks through the door without needing to be asked for their card. But then, the door opens. A soft chime rings through the boutique, and the camera shifts to reveal Carmen Brooks, a woman in her late 50s, walking in. The contrast is immediate and striking. Carmen wears a simple, well-worn dress, the fabric faded with time, and her shoes, though clean, show signs of years of use. She carries a small cardboard box wrapped in paper, the smell of home-cooked food wafting from it. Her face is kind and calm, her eyes soft, but filled with a quiet strength. Carmen's presence seems to shift the atmosphere in the room. The bustling boutique, with its polished displays and the hum of luxury, suddenly feels out of place. The employees freeze for a brief second, looking up at Carmen with confusion and barely concealed judgment. Megan, who was previously arranging a new display, takes in the sight of this visitor with raised eyebrows, her eyes narrowing as she assesses Carmen's appearance. "Can I help you?" Megan asks, her tone cool and dismissive. Carmen smiles, undeterred by the unwelcoming air. "I'm just here to drop off lunch for my daughter-in-law, Rachel," she replies softly, her voice carrying warmth. "She's in a meeting in the back. Could you point me in the right direction?" Megan pauses for a moment, scanning Carmen's simple attire. The unspoken judgment hangs heavy in the air. "I'm sure she's busy," Megan mutters, looking at the other employees with a glance that suggests Carmen doesn't belong here. Carmen's smile remains gentle as she begins to move toward the back of the store, but Megan steps in her way. "This isn't a place for people like you," she snaps. "We don't entertain visitors who aren't shopping or aren't wearing the right clothes." The words sting more than Carmen lets on, but she doesn't respond angrily. Instead, she simply asks, "Could you let Rachel know I'm here?" Megan glares at her, a slight smirk forming on her lips as she crosses her arms. "Look, I don't think you understand. We don't let just anyone walk in and out. If you don't want to buy something, then you need to leave." Behind Megan, David, a sharply dressed man in his 40s, enters from the back office, noticing the tension but not yet fully grasping what's unfolding. He looks over, his eyes flickering to Carmen and then to Megan. There's something in the air, something that feels off, but he doesn't act on it immediately. Megan, still holding her ground, looks back at Carmen, clearly enjoying the discomfort she's causing. "You know what? Maybe you should just go across the street. There are plenty of secondhand shops where you'll feel more at home." She says it loudly enough for everyone in the boutique to hear, a cruel edge to her voice. Carmen stands still for a moment, her eyes meeting Megan's with quiet dignity. She doesn't react with anger or frustration. Instead, she simply nods and begins to turn around, feeling the weight of being judged by her appearance. But just as she's about to leave, the sound of the door opening again breaks the silence. The tension in the boutique thickens as Carmen, still holding the box of homemade food, turns around slowly, her heart heavy with disappointment, but her face betraying nothing. She's prepared for this kind of treatment, but it never gets any easier. The world she's stepped into is one that judges based on appearance, and it's clear that she doesn't belong here in their eyes. Megan, the sales associate, watches Carmen's every move with a calculating gaze, her arms folded tightly across her chest. "I said you need to leave," she snaps, her voice sharp and biting. "This is a place for paying customers, not for people like you." The other employees in the store steal quick, nervous glances, but no one dares to intervene. David, standing near the back, watches the interaction closely, but doesn't act just yet, sensing that this is going to escalate. Rachel isn't around to witness this, but he's not sure how long he can stay silent. Carmen's hands tremble slightly as she tightens her grip on the box, but she doesn't show any outward signs of distress. Her eyes meet Megan's, and for a moment, Carmen simply stares. There's no malice in her gaze, only a quiet strength that Megan seems to find more irritating by the second. Megan steps forward, her voice rising with frustration. "You really think you can just walk in here, carrying your lunch like you own the place? You don't belong here, so stop wasting our time." She says it loudly enough for everyone to hear, making sure the other customers notice, as though Carmen is some sort of inconvenience to the brand's perfect image. Carmen takes a deep breath, and her voice, when she speaks, is steady, but it's filled with a quiet dignity. "I only came here for my daughter-in-law, Rachel," she says softly. "I wasn't looking to buy anything, just to bring her lunch, that's all." Megan, clearly annoyed, laughs bitterly. "Of course, because she would want you here. What does someone like you have in common with someone like her?" Megan's voice oozes with contempt, her words dripping with cruelty. "You think she'll appreciate a poor old woman like you barging in on her big day? Don't kid yourself, sweetheart. You're wasting your time." Carmen's face darkens for just a moment. The sting of the words is sharp, but she doesn't let it show. She had long learned that it wasn't worth responding to ignorance with anger. But Megan isn't done. She steps closer to Carmen, her face now inches from hers, her voice a low hiss. "Let me make something clear," Megan sneers. "You're nothing compared to the people who belong in this boutique. Your filthy clothes look at your shoes. You think they'll let you back here, with your food and your rags? Go back to wherever you came from." The words are cutting, meant to wound. Megan shoves Carmen slightly, pushing her backward with enough force to make her stumble. Carmen, startled by the physical contact, almost loses her balance. Her heart pounds in her chest, but she steadies herself, the box of food still in her hands. She isn't going to let Megan or anyone else in this store push her down. For a moment, Carmen stands frozen, staring at Megan, who has a malicious smirk plastered on her face, clearly enjoying the humiliation she's causing. But the glint in Carmen's eyes shifts. Her voice, when she finally speaks again, is calm but resolute. "I don't need to prove anything to you," Carmen says, her eyes unwavering. "I came here for Rachel, not for you. And if you think for 1 second that I'm afraid of your words, then you're mistaken." Megan isn't used to being defied. She steps forward again, this time with more aggression, and shoves Carmen even harder. Carmen stumbles back a few steps, but she doesn't fall. Megan's words come faster now, with venom. "Who do you think you are? You think you can walk into my store and make demands like you belong here? You think your little food is going to change anything?" Megan sneers as she jabs a finger in Carmen's direction. "You'll never be good enough for her. You're just an old woman who should be grateful she even gets to walk in this building." Before Carmen can respond, Megan shoves her again, harder this time, causing Carmen to stumble backwards and collide with a display table, knocking over a set of expensive vases. The crash of porcelain hitting the floor echoes through the boutique, and all eyes snap to the scene. For a moment, everything stops. Time itself seems to hang in the air. A few customers gasp, and the staff members freeze, unsure of what to do. Carmen stands up slowly, the blood rushing to her cheeks as a mixture of humiliation and anger burns within her. She doesn't touch the broken vases or try to apologize. She knows it won't matter. This is just another opportunity for Megan to continue her cruelty. Megan, seeing the chaos she's caused, raises her hands in mock surprise. "Oh, did I make a mess? Too bad," she mocks, her voice laced with sarcasm. "I hope you're ready to pay for that, sweetheart. Looks like you're going to have to buy these broken vases, huh?" Carmen's patience is wearing thin, and just as Megan opens her mouth to say something else, a deep, authoritative voice cuts through the air. "That's enough, Megan." Rachel Brooks steps into the scene, her face flushed with anger. She has clearly heard the commotion and stormed out of her meeting room, a mixture of disbelief and fury in her eyes. She surveys the scene, taking in the shattered vases, Carmen standing with the box of food still clutched in her hands, and Megan, who is now trying to feign innocence. Rachel walks directly up to Megan, her voice sharp and commanding. "I can't believe you're behaving like this in my store. You've made a scene and disrespected my family." Megan stammers, trying to find an excuse, but Rachel isn't having it. "You humiliated my mother-in-law in front of my customers, and for what? Because she doesn't look like she belongs here? You've crossed a line, Megan." Megan opens her mouth, but Rachel raises a hand, stopping her in her tracks. "I don't care what your issues are with her appearance. Carmen is my family, and you will treat her with respect, or you will find yourself working somewhere else." The staff members are watching in stunned silence, but Rachel doesn't give them a chance to react. She turns to David, who has been standing silently in the background, his expression unreadable. "David, please make sure this situation is handled properly." David nods but doesn't speak. He knows the seriousness of what's happening. Megan's face turns bright red as Rachel's words hit her like a slap. She's finally met her match. "Do you know who I am?" Rachel asks coldly, her voice low and dangerous. "I built this store, this empire, with my family's help. And you think you can come here and treat my family like garbage?" Megan's face pales, and she stammers, I didn't know. You didn't know?" Rachel cuts her off. "No, you didn't care. And now you'll live with the consequences of your actions. You've made your choice, and I'm making mine. You're fired." Megan's mouth opens and closes, but no words come out. She's in shock. As Rachel turns her back on Megan and walks toward Carmen, she adds, "We're leaving. Come on, Carmen." As Rachel walks towards Carmen, her steps firm and determined, the tension in the boutique is palpable. Megan, her face flushed with humiliation, watches them leave, her mouth opening and closing as though trying to find something to say, but no words come out. The silence in the boutique is thick, with all eyes on the scene unfolding in front of them. David watches Rachel and Carmen, his expression unreadable, but there's a flicker of respect in his eyes for Rachel's strength and leadership. Rachel reaches Carmen, her voice softening as she approaches her. "I'm so sorry, Mom," she says, her words full of regret and emotion. "You didn't deserve that. I should have been here. I should have done something sooner." Carmen places a hand on Rachel's shoulder, offering a warm, comforting smile. "It's all right, dear. I'm not upset. What matters is, you know the truth now." Rachel nods, grateful for her mother-in-law's kindness, despite the pain she's just endured. "That was unacceptable. I won't stand by and let people treat my family like that." Her voice is strong, filled with the resolve to never allow such disrespect again. Carmen glances at the boutique, its polished walls and expensive displays, a world that often judges people based on their appearance. "It's easy to forget that not everyone fits into this world, Rachel. But that doesn't make them less than anyone else." Rachel's eyes soften. "I'll make sure that no one, especially you, ever feels less than again. You belong here just as much as anyone else." As they walk toward the exit, Carmen pauses for a moment, looking back at the boutique with a quiet but knowing smile. "This isn't about fitting in, Rachel. It's about knowing who we are. No one can take that from us." Outside, the bright sunlight hits their faces as they step into the fresh air. Rachel takes a deep breath, her resolve stronger than ever. "This is just the beginning," she says, her voice determined. As they walk away from the boutique, leaving the shattered vases and the humiliation behind, Rachel makes a promise to herself. She's not going to let anyone, not even those who are supposed to work for her, disrespect her family ever again. The world of luxury may be beautiful, but it's not everything. Family, dignity, and respect are what truly matter. In the world of wealth, luxury, and appearances, it's easy to get caught up in judging others based on their outward appearances. We often mistake someone's value for their clothes, their background, or their social status. However, this story reminds us that real beauty comes from within, and real worth is measured by our character, not our wealth or appearance. Carmen exemplifies this lesson through her quiet strength and grace. Even when faced with humiliation and disrespect, she never lets the world's judgment define her. Rachel, too, learns the importance of standing up for her loved ones and recognizing their worth, regardless of societal standards. Respect, dignity, and kindness matter more than any material wealth. It's a lesson we can all take with us into our daily lives, treat others with the respect they deserve, not based on their outward appearance, but for who they truly are. Did this story resonate with you? Do you believe that true worth lies in a person's character rather than their appearance? If you enjoyed this powerful story about family, respect, and standing up against prejudice, leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about this theme. Should I expand on it, or maybe share more stories that tackle important social issues like this one? If enough people enjoy this, I might just write a longer version in the future. Let's start a conversation. Comment your thoughts below.